Why is India in a hurry to import 39,000 wheels from China, which could have been produced in India? In May 2022, the Indian Ministry of Railways signed a contract with China's Taiyuan Heavy Industry Corporation to purchase 39,000 train wheels from China for 1.7 billion rupees, or about 21 million US dollars. It is said that the price of each wheel purchased this time was 1.68% higher than the original contract price. This makes people wonder, why does India spend more money to buy wheels from China? Can't India make them by itself? If you like our video content, please click to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can receive all our latest video content. Now, let's get into today's topic. India's railway network is one of the largest in the world, with more than 13,000 trains running across the country every day, connecting nearly 8,000 stations. However, most of these lines and trains are quite old, and many trains are often overloaded, which has also led to frequent accidents. In 2021, nearly 18,000 railway accidents occurred in India, killing more than 16,000 people and injuring 1,852 people. What is even more shocking is that from 2017 to 2021, the number of people who lost their lives in railway accidents in India reached about 100,000. In order to update these old equipment and promote the development of high-speed rail, India spent 18 months developing its own semi-high-speed train Vande Bharat Express. This train can reach a speed of 160 kilometers per hour. Although it is called Made in India, the carriages are actually produced in India under the authorization of the German LHB company, and 70% to 80% of the key components still need to be imported from abroad, such as wheels, which is one of them. Although India is a big country, there is still a big gap in manufacturing capabilities, especially in the production of high-speed rail wheels. India is almost powerless. However, at the recommendation of the United States and other Western allies, India decided to let Ukraine help manufacture train wheels. In August 2021, India signed a contract worth $18 million with Ukraine to order 30,000 train wheels for LHB carriages for the Indian Train project. According to the plan, this batch of orders should have been completed and delivered by the end of 2022. But no one expected that the Russian-Ukrainian conflict that broke out in 2022 put most of Ukraine's factories in a dilemma of shutdown or even bankruptcy. The war has caused Ukrainian companies to be unable to fulfill their contracts, and many customers are facing problems such as shortages of raw materials and inability to transport goods. India is even more anxious because the trains have been built, but the 30,000 wheels purchased have not arrived yet. At first, India thought that the conflict between Ukraine and Russia would end soon, and they planned to take advantage of this period to solve the problem of wheel production through local manufacturing, so that they would no longer have to rely on Ukraine. However, the process of manufacturing high-speed rail wheels is not as simple as they imagined. High-speed rail wheels are made from a whole piece of steel billet. The whole process includes cutting, heating, and then forging into a mold. After that, heat treatment and further processing are required. After completing these processes, the wheels must undergo rigorous testing to ensure that they meet the standards before leaving the factory. In addition, high-speed rail wheels have very high requirements for raw materials. Take wheel steel as an example. This special steel requires extremely high cleanliness. The oxygen content cannot exceed 0.0002%. The inclusion content must be extremely low, and the distribution must be uniform. These are not easy things to do. Faced with such a difficult process, India's local manufacturing industry cannot complete it independently. In fact, only 5 countries in the world, China, Japan, Germany, France, and Italy, have the ability to produce such high-standard wheels. Seeing that the conflict between Ukraine and Russia has no signs of stopping, and the war has dragged on for 2 years, India has to restart the emergency bidding process. Interestingly, before the bidding officially started, India had already announced in advance that they would choose to cooperate with China. What happened behind this? In fact, due to the repeated delays in India's cooperation with Ukraine, the high-speed rail carriages have been unable to be put into use in the country, and India's existing railway system has almost reached its carrying capacity limit. If the situation does not improve in the next 1 or 2 years, India's transportation may be at risk of paralysis. Therefore, India is in urgent need of this batch of wheels. But at present, the only country that can produce and install high-speed rail wheels in a short period of time is China. In order to avoid the continued idleness of LHB carriages, India has to choose to cooperate with China. By the end of 2023, Indian Railways has placed a larger order with China's Taiyuan company for a total of 39,000 wheels, 9,000 more than before. According to sources, the price of each wheel in this new contract is 1.68% higher than that of the Ukrainian company, and the total order amount has reached 1.7 billion rupees, or about 21 million US dollars. In addition, the exchange rate of the Indian rupee fluctuates almost every day, and the import cost of the local currency may rise sharply. According to the cooperation agreement between the two parties, the batch of wheels ordered by India is expected to be fully produced by October 2024 and is expected to be delivered by the end of this year. In order to express gratitude for China's efficient manufacturing, an industry expert in India admitted that the production capacity of local Indian companies is indeed difficult to meet market demand, which is also the main reason why the Indian Ministry of Railways has to purchase parts such as wheels and axles from abroad. However, this cooperation with China is somewhat different from traditional international trade. China explicitly requires India to pay before taking the goods, and the prepayment ratio must be at least 60%. Usually in international trade, only a small part of the payment is required in advance, which not only maintains international credibility, but also facilitates cooperation between the two sides. For example, it is a common practice to prepay 10% of the payment, and few countries will affect the signing of the contract due to payment issues. So why did China ask India to pay such a high amount in advance this time? As far as I know, there have been some cooperations between India and China before this, such as BYD signed a contract with India to purchase 300 electric buses. After the contract was signed, India only paid half of the advance payment. According to the contract, the remaining amount should be paid in 2 installments. However, India made an unexpected request. It hoped to merge the subsequent payments into the last payment. Considering India's international credibility, BYD finally agreed to this request. But surprisingly, when the last payment was due, the Indian government delayed it for a full 3 months and finally paid the money under various pressures. This incident also made China doubt India's cooperative credit. Therefore, in the subsequent cooperation, Chinese companies can only take more cautious measures, requiring India to pay most of the money before the goods can be delivered. It is worth mentioning that when India signed a cooperation agreement with China, it should have been an exciting thing after all. It was related to the construction of a high-speed railway belonging to the Indian people. However, when the Indian people learned that this important order would be produced by Chinese companies, the reaction was not as enthusiastic as expected. On the contrary, this news caused a lot of controversy and resistance in India. The reason is that for a long time, the Indian media has been discrediting China through various channels, exaggerating the so-called imaginary enemy, thinking, and often comparing India and China. This kind of propaganda has made many Indian people have a not very friendly impression of China. Perhaps in the hearts of many Indian people, there is such a view. They think that China's manufacturing level is relatively low, the product quality is not good, and even directly equate made in China with junk products. They don't understand why the government chooses to cooperate with China instead of cooperating with Japan, which they think has the top high-speed rail technology. In their view, Japan's technology and quality are more reliable, so they have raised many questions about the government's decision and think it is a wrong choice. However, Is it really as the Indian people think? In fact, India had high hopes for Japan's high-speed rail. After all, Japan's high-speed rail technology has always been known for its cutting-edge technology. However, the falsification of high-speed rail wheel inspection data that was later revealed caused India's blind trust in Japanese technology to begin to waver. It turns out that in order to barely meet the passing standards, Japan actually tampered with the testing data. This incident made India's trust in Japan less firm. Today, India is facing greater pressure to order high-speed rail wheels. India has wasted too much time due to delays in cooperation with Ukraine, and the burden on its railway system has become increasingly heavy. If the wheels are not delivered on time, India's railway system may be further paralyzed. Under this circumstance, India urgently needs a reliable and efficient partner, and China's manufacturing capabilities have obviously become the best choice. Not only are these urgently ordered high-speed rail wheels, India also placed 2 additional orders with China's Taiyuan heavy industry in the first half of this year, purchasing 25,000 wheels and 30,000 train axles respectively, with a total amount of more than $40 million. In addition, cooperation between India and Japan in the field of infrastructure has not been smooth sailing. Take the much-watched Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail project as an example. This project has almost become a major problem for India-Japan cooperation. The project started as early as 2017, and India and Japan originally hoped to open it to traffic in 2024. However, as time went by, the project progress was far less than expected and even encountered many difficulties. Initially, the construction cost of the Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail was estimated to be approximately $12.8 billion, but during actual construction, the cost continued to rise. By now, the estimated completion cost of the project has soared to $30 billion. To make matters worse, the construction progress of the project has not reached 50% so far. The high-speed rail project originally planned to open to traffic in 2024 now seems to be delayed until 2028. Under this circumstance, India had to re-examine its cooperative relationship with Japan and began to consider finding more effective solutions to deal with these challenges. So, do you think it is the right choice for India to order wheels from China? To not miss out on our future projects and news updates, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We will continue to provide you with more exciting and interesting content.